Hey guys, Gondor here, and today we are back with another video. Um, just quick little disclaimer before I get into things. So, as I mentioned in the past video, got quite a bit of footage stored up, and I I was looking, or I was going to edit some of these videos, and I realized that the files were AVI files, which, I mean, it's just a format of video, but when I went to put them into the video editing software that I use, it said they didn't recognize the file type, and it couldn't, like, it was missing some codec or something. Um, so I ended up having to convert the files. I converted them to MPEG files because um, it just seemed it looked the best of the options that I had when I did MP4. It just looked a little fuzzier. I mean, I think this looks pretty good. But if the quality is not quite as good as it usually is, I'm sorry. But hopefully it'll be good enough so you guys can see what's going on. Anyway, today we are flying out the Spitfire Mark 5C. I have to say personally, I was never much of a Spitfire pilot in realistic battles. I usually tended to stick more towards the Americans, the Germans, Russians, um, and of the British fighters. Usually not the Spitfires. I don't know. I just didn't really play with them that much. But anyway, this plane in particular um, is a fucking beast. Let me just say, I actually really love playing with it. It has 4 Hispano 20 mils. A pretty kick-ass turn radius. It's probably the best turn fighter other than the A6M series at this battle rating. I don't know about... It could probably outturn a KI-84. Maybe the A7M might be able to compete with it. I'm not actually sure, but it's a pretty kick-ass turn fighter. And it has a fucking bomb-ass armament. It has 4 of the Hispanos, which I have to say, I think the Hispanos are the most satisfying 20 mil. I mean, looking back retrospectively, I mean, that might be different at some point, but looking back, I have to say that these Hispanos, they just melt. They're so just crisp. Yeah, they just fuck shit up, and it's awesome. But anyway, in this footage, you can see right here, just, yeah, outmaneuvering the KI-84, which is a fairly maneuverable plane. Like, the KI-84 can definitely outmaneuver a lot of American planes. I'd argue it can outmaneuver German planes too, but yeah, the Spitfire managing itself pretty well, and then just, absolutely peppering it with those juicy 20 mils. God, fucking so satisfying going back and looking at old clips and just like I was really good actually. Like I mean, obviously at this point I'm so out of it that I'm sure if I went back I would just embarrass myself, but I was pretty good back in the day. I could hold my own. But anyway, this plane, it's a fighter plane, pretty much a turn fighter. It can hold its dive pretty well. I mean, I cut throttle pretty hard, and I don't drop as drastically in the Spitfire as maybe I would in a German plane or an American plane, just because, I mean, it wasn't meant to be a boom and zoom aircraft. Its maneuverability was one of its advantages. But yeah, no, it can actually hold its own pretty well. Let's see, looks like, well, in this part of the video, I'm just kind of climbing to kind of confuse the enemy, make sure they don't know where I'm at, just using that old cloud spotting technique to keep track of them. I'm not sure if I remember this correctly. God, I'm so fucking fuzzy. This is so frustrating. If they kind of got rid of that, if I remember, the cloud spotting, where you go into the cloud and then you could just see the dot clearly. But yeah, I noticed there were a couple airplanes by the enemy fleet, and so I decided to wait for them to come back, and then obviously just gained a bit of altitude, just tracked this one through the clouds, and then right here, just making sure there's nobody around so that I get tailed. And then once I check, oh, there, and I check, obviously good thing I did, and spotted the other aircraft behind me. And yeah, this is when I begin the dive. Sorry, I tried to look over this video to remember what happened, but yeah, this A7M had no idea what hit it. I just absolutely roasted it before it even knew what was happening. And then quickly turned to the right. So I noticed there was another plane being on a climb towards me, but obviously I had a lot of momentum coming out of that dive. So go underneath. He actually had more energy, I think, than I was expecting him to have. I thought he would probably stall, but either way, with the energy I did have, I was able to trim my turn very fast. And it was just a KI-84, and as we saw earlier, I can outturn them pretty well. And then right here, just trying to get guns on. Not really sure why he turned right there. He gave me a really easy shot, and was quickly able to dispatch him. Actually, one thing that I did not point out was I'm pretty sure this video was a 1v4 at the end. I think I was the last aircraft with all of the other enemy team remaining. I think there was 4 aircraft left, and I was the last fighter left. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Anyway, so at this point there are 2 enemy aircraft left, and I'm feeling pretty good. I saw one was returning to the airfield, so I figured this would give me enough time to target this one aircraft that was attacking landing craft. I had a huge altitude advantage on him, so I was just going to make sure to just get behind him and then swoop in on him. Right here I begin my dive, and unfortunately he ends up crashing right there, which that probably would have been a pretty easy kill. I'm not sure if he did that on purpose or if his plane was actually damaged. Either way, this is when I begin the flyover to track down that last enemy aircraft that I saw flying towards the airbase. And obviously knowing that he's not going to make it back to the airfield in time, he turns around towards me, and seeing this, I begin to climb. Because he's probably going to want to have a heads up, and I mean, even though the Spitfire does have, 420 mils, I don't like going into heads up with it because it has wing mounted 20 mils. But yeah, anyway, didn't even matter. He ended up crashing too, which is kind of unfortunate. I would have liked to have gotten, a 5th kill, because then I could have put, ace in the video title. I don't know, it's just it's a little more satisfying having that 5 versus the 4, but I mean, either way, this is a really good game, and I knew I wanted to upload it, so yeah. That being said, that was the end of the game. I ended up with 4 kills, managed to pull off a 1v4 due to some luck, because the last 2 enemy aircraft were pretty damaged, but, either way, obviously, got to show off some of the prowess of the Spitfire Mark 5C against some pretty notable enemies. The Japanese aircraft at this rank are pretty deadly, and it held its own. So yeah, with that being said, I think I'm going to end the video there. This has been the Condor, and I will see you later.